the last time David and Sean had been in a U.S. airport together, David was sending his 4-year-old off on what was supposed to be a 2-week holiday. 5 long years later, he was finally coming home. They looked like any other father and son returning from Christmas vacation. How could anyone guess what it meant to David to simply have Sean standing next to him? Or to share a crossword puzzle? Or a jelly donut?
Not that one. Yeah, the one in front of it.
They are the small, simple moments that now mean the world to David Goldman.
Freeze.
3 days after Christmas, when they pulled up in their driveway in New Jersey, the house was dark. But inside, they got a bright welcome home with a Christmas tree from the local fire department. And most importantly for Sean, his old cat, Tui.
Look at you. Oh, I'm ready for Sean. Yeah. She missed you.
Tui even had her own stocking on the chimney right next to Sean's.
Yeah. It's my house.
Sean plopped right down to tear into the presents that friends and neighbors had left under the tree.
Oh, this I like.
Is that what you like? Oh, wow. Another race car. Remote control. You can have races now.
Yeah. This one is mine.
And then he started making his way through the house, his house.
This was the guest room.
We're in my living room.
This was where you used to play in the office. Do you remember that chair?
Yeah.
You do. You remember these?
Yeah.
It's funny how sometimes the smallest thing can jog your memory. For Sean, it was the little teeth marks he left in a wooden banister so many years before.
Oh, here's my tooth.
Yes, you remember your teeth. Yes, right here.
Oh.
Yep, this is how full it was.
For David, each glimmer of recognition was a step towards bridging the gap with his son. Watching Sean roam through his old bedroom, the place David could never bear to change, it all sank in.
In here was your favorite raincoat. Remember that? I spent 5 years avoiding this room, keeping it here for him. And now I sit in it under a whole different light. He's home. He's home. Hey, you, should we celebrate? It's apple juice champagne.
You can celebrate that, no?
What? No, it's no alcohol.
There was so much to celebrate. Sean seemed genuinely happy to be here, making himself, well, at home. David's friends and family were elated.
I walked in the house and Sean got up and he was smiling. He came over to me and he put his hand up and he gave me a high five and he says, "Hey, Quigley." And I looked at David and David just kind of looked back at me and we just had this moment where it was like, I can't believe he just did that.
Father and son have spent much of this week palling around, spending quiet time together fishing and shopping for winter clothes. And just yesterday, Sean started school. 3 days ago, I sat down with David again here in New York for an update on Sean. David says he seems happy, though he worries that his son still hasn't shown much emotion.
I'm almost wondering if he had to develop some sort of detachment mechanism to help him survive these traumatic experiences, first being ripped away from me at a young age of 4 and then his mom passing.
Do you worry about almost the other shoe dropping, that he's going to hit some wall at some point?
It is concerning. I don't know if he's got to be loyal to the adult that he's with, or again, if part of him really is happy and to be here with me, which I see that, but again, where does one end and one begin?
The battle for Sean isn't over. Just 1 day after father and son returned to New Jersey, Sean's Brazilian family vowed to continue fighting for him. But David's attorneys believe the chances of Sean ever going back to Brazil are remote at best.
I cannot imagine, given what our law in the United States provides, what the treaty provides, and what the status of this matter is in Brazil, any basis for Sean being returned to Brazil.
The bitterness probably won't subside anytime soon. At a press conference last week, David's U.S. attorney estimated that his 5-year fight has cost him $500,000. When she added that technically David could go after the Brazilian family for reimbursement, it spurred a splash of new Brazilian headlines, as Sean's Brazilian family reiterated its contention that all David ever wanted is money.
It's just obscene to suggest that this man went through what he went through, you know, for some personal gain. There's no personal gain in losing your kid for 4.5 years.
In fact, there's still a lawsuit pending against David in Rio, filed by Bruna's Brazilian husband and his father, seeking compensation for the damage they claim David has done to their family's honored name. But David is intent on focusing only on his son and their healing, which looks like it may already be starting. Remember that little 3-letter word David so desperately wanted to hear?
When we spoke in Orlando, I asked you if he called you Dad. He said, no, he hasn't. You've called him son, but he hadn't called you Dad. Well, has he done that yet?
He did. It was maybe a couple days after we were home. We were down at the river and they were breaking ice with he and his friends and cousins. And he just said, hey, Dad, can you help me?
Dateline was there when the moment came.
Come here. What did you say?
Come here, Dad.
You go down there. Coming. You heard it. You heard him. Did you hear it?
And I heard it, but I wanted him to say it again, so I acted like I didn't. What did you say? He said, hey, Dad, come here. So, of course, I jumped right down and helped him break the stick. I didn't want to make a big to-do over it, just wanted to let it flow naturally.
Inside, you must have been doing cartwheels.
I've been waiting 5 years to hear those words again. And they're precious words from a precious little boy.
He hopes peaceful moments will help erase all the trauma of the past 5 years, and dreams of once again idly canoeing with his little boy, just like they used to years ago.
If there's one moment that reaches beyond the others that I have of hopes and aspirations, is for us to just go for a paddle in our backyard. I can't wait for the winter to end. I long for that day. I'll probably start crying, so he'll definitely be in the front, not looking at me paddling away.
Why that moment?
I don't know. He loved it so much, and that was just us in nature, right at home, and it was so beautiful. And that one little spot where he would look for the dinosaurs, and I don't know, just something about that was just so pure and so special.
For now, it's enough to simply be home, side by side, father and son, in the house where memories of little Sean still pleasantly linger.
I love you forever.
I love you forever, buddy.
And David and Sean are buddies again.
We did it. We did it.
And so they did. That's all for this edition of Dateline Friday. We'll see you again for Dateline Sunday at 7, 6 Central. I'm Meredith Vieira. For all of us at NBC News, good night.